Hello everybody. I haven't been around much recently. One reason for that is that I haven't bought a watch for about 5 months now. So, am I getting tired with the hobby? No, I'm not. I just haven't seen a great deal that attracted my attention until recently. Oh, for several years now I've proudly and happily owned two G-Shocks from Casio, who else? And yeah, mostly I'm very pleased with them. They both have solar power, but for that matter they also have multiband 6 and Bluetooth connection, but neither of these is of much use here at the moment. We don't get the radio signal anyway for the multiband, and as I might have mentioned in a previous video, the G-Shock app has noped its way out of Russia, so that's also quite useless. The other thing you probably notice is that they both use a negative digital display. Now, I'm not so much against this. It gets a lot of criticism online. However, I figured, well, I could always run one more G-Shock. So I'm going to make a little short list of things that I need and things that I don't need in a G-Shock. Okay, so to list some of my requirements or non-requirements, first of all, the G-Shock I will select doesn't need to be solar powered. More importantly, it doesn't need multiband 6 or a Bluetooth connection. For some other things, it needs to have some interesting features in that I want an analog digital display, and ideally the digital display should be a positive one, unlike the two G-Shocks I've just shown you. The other things, I'd like some interesting features on the dial, just to reiterate that, and I'd like a splash of colour, which you could see that the two that I already own are a bit lacking in that regard. So, let's create a shortlist. First of all, I did say a bit of colour. I didn't mean one colour, and the digital display classes as negative. It's the same colour as most of the background. In any case, I would have rejected this one because I didn't really fancy getting the one of the GA-110Y series, known as the Casio. Not because everybody and his goldfish has one. I don't mind about popularity of watches, but I just don't like the overall look of it, regardless of the colour. So for that reason, we've rejected that one. Now, as you might imagine, the reason I turned down this GA-V01, of course, it's a negative display, and only that. If you believe that, you will believe anything, but that gets a very hard pass from me. Look, it's so garish, it's even interfering with the video, I think. It's not just my terrible videography. So there we go. I think we won't bother with that one. Now, I came fairly close to choosing this one. It's the AW-500 series. The dial is quite colourful in its way, and it's very interesting. It's got a lounge vibe rather than anything too bright or garish. And of course it has a positive display. Also, from an interest point of view, it's based on Casio's first digital G-Shock, dating back to 1989. Unfortunately, I did a little bit of research online into this particular model, and certain compromises were made with the design, which they could have, they could have avoided with an update. The main reservation from my point of view is that the analog hands don't sync automatically with a digital display, so you have to do that yourself. I have an old edifice that has the same deal, and it's a real pain in the bum to fix. It takes ages. So unfortunately, and with great regret, I had to turn this down. However, one other point I might make quickly about this is that there's a metal version. I think, what is it, the AMG or something like that, which has solar power, and therefore it has the whistles and bells for you to to update it automatically, but they cost rather more. They're a bit outside my budget for now, so maybe next year. So, hey ho, let's move on. This one seemed to have a bit more potential than, sadly, the AW Lounge Lizard. It's clearly a G-Shock, and you've got a nice largish positive display. You've also got a very interesting sub-dial at the 9 o'clock, and yeah, overall it's the format that I was really looking for. However, I point out that it hasn't got sufficient colour for what I have in mind, but there are always alternatives available, as we know, so let's see what there is. So, here's a G-Shock that I bought quite recently online, following my own wishes and intentions. As you'll see, I've mostly unboxed it. We'll just focus on it if we can. Yes, it is a GA-110 and so on, like the black dial I showed you from the old time Casio. Look at the lovely red pushers with a bit of knurling on them, and you've got the crazy dial, and just for fun you've even got this red strap keeper. Don't know how red that looks on the camera, but there it is. So what can it do? So what else would I do but go back to YouTube, and I found on a search, I found this gentleman, Watch Geek, who did a review and a tutorial on exactly the same model of watch back in, I think it was 2017. Back in 2017, Watch Geek filmed a very useful tutorial on the GA-110, and it's about 35 minutes. If you want to look at it yourself, I won't provide a link. Just do a YouTube search for this model of watch. It's Casio GA-110 tutorial, and his video should come up straight away. It did for me, so it can for you too. You might or might not be able to see on the back, which includes features such as shock absorbent magnetic thingamabobble, magnetic resistance, and might be able to see the module number in the little rectangular box as usual, which is 5146. And this is the very model that Watch Geek does this tutorial for. Yeah, so there we have it. Let's have a look at that almost irresistible dial with the nice touches of yellow and red. Should be able to see the digital displays working happily away. And at the moment it's Saturday, but I'll probably not be putting this one up till Sunday. I've got a bit more to do. I watched the tutorial presented by our man Watch Geek at least twice, but a third viewing might be necessary. It's not a very sophisticated module in this watch, but some of the things work a little bit differently to what we might expect. Okay, so most things are quite straightforward. So you press that in, and you can see that the top bit now is set for Moscow time, and then to change the time, go Jeddah there, and then Tehran, got, yeah, and you can go through a lot of these things. There's Delhi, I think. So you press that in to adjust it. It goes to, yeah. So it does sync up, unlike that AW thing like that. So now it's 2.5 hours ahead of where it was, and to reset it, okay, now can you go backwards for Christmas? You can. I think Watch Geek said you couldn't do this, but apparently so. We're back at Moscow, and then we look, and the hands go backwards. This is nice. Some of them just go forwards. In a moment, we'll be back at Moscow time. Yeah. Look at what the hand and the hands automatically adjust themselves. It is 10:52, which is rather nice. Next bit is the stopwatch. It's on a split timer. You also get a lap timer as well. And you just press the bottom right, and it should start. Now, let's see what happens with that little dial on the left. So we'll let it go for a little bit. We'll stop, and look at that. So that moved to 50 or something. And what that's going to do at some point is it's going to help you to figure out an average speed for something. Yeah, okay, it's got the O at the top, which is actually 0 hours, but sometimes it goes, oh, I've done something wrong, which I haven't on this occasion. Then you should be able to, let's see. Yeah, we reset the stopwatch, and the little indicator there resets itself to 0. Wait a minute. Then we have a timer. As you can see, it's set for 5 minutes, and I've used that already to boil some eggs successfully. I will not repeat that exercise because that'll be a bit boring. If you look at the display at the top, it's gone to that sort of little arrow. And in spite of Watch Geek's careful explanation, I'm still not absolutely sure what that signifies. But that's just me being stupid. Just push the adjust button and it's reset itself to normal timekeeping mode. Alright, is there anything else we can demonstrate? Yes, there is. Okay, let's try that. Now the next thing to demonstrate is this light. So we just have a light, so you can goes for 3. Then if you press it in for, I think, 5 seconds. Yes, it's probably difficult to make it out, but there is, underneath the date, there's an inscription A light, which is an automatic light. So if I can demonstrate that, so hands off. We've wafted about a bit. Not playing, is it? Ah, there we go. You see it come out. Boom, yeah. Now, that does work, but what you've got to remember is it's not solar powered, this watch. If you, for example, we've got the G-Shock here. Yeah, and it too has a light. Fat fingers get in there to the correct button. And it goes off rather nicely for the 3 seconds. But because it's solar, it has a light sensor, and it never goes off if the light's adequate. With the slightly more elderly G-Shock here, that's not the case. It just doesn't care what the light level is. Ooh. That doesn't seem to care about anything much. Alright, there's a bit of a long segment here, so there we go. And yeah, out it goes. If I haven't mentioned it previously, Watch Geek tells us that the automatic light will cut off automatically after about 6 hours to save the battery, because otherwise every time you move it, it does things like ugh. It tries to switch itself on, so it's not doing so. Now there it goes, and off. Right, so I haven't touched anything here. So the 6 hours is not, I don't think it's necessarily accurate in the case of this piece, because I tried twice to show the automatic light sort of switching itself off, but last time I tried it, it went off at 5 hours 50 minutes before I was ready to film it, and I had a timer all set up for 6 hours, so that's just me being stupid. So what I'll do now, just for on general principles, is to switch off the automatic light. So you go, it's gone off. That's what happens automatically, but it was a bit different on my piece. But it tells a bit about how to spot a fake as well. Let's see, focus on it a bit better. That on the fakes, and I saw a couple on AliExpress for half the money that this costs, and the light doesn't work automatically, and some of the other features don't function properly either. So I suppose is that even though I got this off another online retailer, it's not a mainstream watch shop, it's a genuine article, so this is that. So a little later I'm going to try messing about with stopwatch again for your viewing pleasure. Okay, here's the obligatory wrist shot with the ice buckle, the 2 tangs and the red keeper. What we'll do next, well, I'll show you. Now, before I show you one more interesting feature of this G-Shock, I'm going to do a couple of dimensions. Yeah, if you take it over these little bumps here, case width is 51. That's quite big. Can we do a thickness on it? I think we can. Oh, if you put it there, it's 17.3, so it's, but it doesn't feel that thick, because if you just go over the crystal, it's a mere 16. And a lug to lug would be, I suppose, yeah, 55.5. It's quite a lot. You can compare that with the GST, and we've got to go sort of this way. Yeah, that's 45.6, and there's no, unlike the yellow thing, there's no bumps to protect the crystal on this, so that might be a little bit of a design flaw. So 14.6, and to take a notional lug to lug is, yeah, so right there, 52. So there we are on that. So that last feature I promised to show you was you can actually measure a distance. This is fascinating, I think. Okay, now I've set up the stopwatch using the mode button. And the next step is to press in the adjust button. distance. Now I've chosen 3. You could go up and down, and you can also set the decimal thing using the mode button, I think. Yeah. And then, yeah, so we'll keep that as a notional distance, and that could be any distance you have in mind. And then to get that back to there, you press, you just button, and then you press the forward button again to set off the stopwatch, and then we'll say, I don't know, 15 seconds, or as close as my poor reflexes can get to that. I'm pressing the forward button again. Alright, so that's not too bad. Now you can see that the little needle in the subdial has gone forward to a value of 20, yeah. And then you've got these little blocks that come in the top screen that come out at oh my goodness me, these are hundreds, so yeah, all those. And using that figure, you can calculate an average speed over distance, but you need to write everything down. And again, as I said, you've got to keep your units of distance in mind. I said there could be kilometres, miles, or furlongs, so goodness knows what. So I've just been away to do some mental arithmetic. Those blocks at the top of the top screen show a value of 700, and the subdial adds 20 to that. So say, for example, we travelled 3 kilometres in 15 seconds, and that's 12 kilometres a minute. So 1 hour, that will give you a value of 720 kilometres, or feet, or steps, or furlongs, or chains, rods, purchase poles, God knows what. Okay, so that's that feature. And unlike the GA-110, this SDL, which costs well less, is a bit more modern in its module, and it has a lap memory. Interesting thing is, I never use it, so it's not a big issue with the G-Shock either. On this today, I have a pulsar chronograph, which I'm sure you'll agree is not quite as colourful as a G-Shock. However, this was a present from my brother about 4 years ago. It's on its second battery, and it's quite a handsome thing. It's a Seiko movement, because I believe Seiko owns Pulsar, and it has a little party piece, if I can show you this in the same shot. Which you can. Look at the subdial at a 12. It goes wee. It'll do that for 1 minute, but I won't sort of I'll stop that and then press it to go back, and it goes back. So there you go. That's a nice one, I think. I'll put a sort of dull NATO strap on it, 2-piece, but it's really good. I like this one. Well, to conclude, I only have a couple of gripes about this rather wonderfully colourful G-Shock. First is, I don't know why they bothered putting in an automatic light, because the battery with about a 2-year life can't sustain that use, so the automatic light switches off after a bit. But as I said, it's not 6 hours like I saw in the tutorial that I watched. It was I was just looking at it, 5 hours 50 minutes. It went bloop out. I was using my GST B200 as a timer. Nothing wrong with that. It's quite accurate. So other than that, the one more thing is the hands are white, and the hour hand is tiny, and sometimes I have difficulty with my old eyesight, sort of, getting a fix on it. I think they missed a trick by not putting red hands on them. I think there's one of the models with a black dial that does have red hands, and they could have done it with this just as easily. But it is, nonetheless, it's a G-Shock. It's colourful on the whole, and I love it. I don't use some of the special things. They just look, the displays look good. So that's just me. I don't know. What am I like? Well, one last thing is I might break a little promise that I made earlier in the year. I might go back to AliExpress because there's lots and lots of really wonderful things that I've seen. And there's the 11th of November sale coming up, so I'd be silly to pass that up. In the meantime, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. It is, what is it? It's Sunday the 19th of October. Hopefully this will go to YouTube on that day. So we'll see. Okay, in the meantime, you have a lot of fun, a nice Sunday, and I'll see you soon. So take care.